Good afternoon, my name is Frank Mularcik, and it has been a long time since I've posted a video on this channel, over 7 months now. And honestly, in the spring, I was just getting a little bit burnt out with the YouTube channel, and I was getting really busy as well with my final semester of college. But I graduated college in April, and then starting in June, I was away this entire summer hiking the Appalachian Trail. And so in this video, we're going to be going over all the dividends I received in 100 days while I hiked the Appalachian Trail. And if you aren't aware, the AT is a footpath that starts in Maine and goes all the way down to Georgia. It's just shy of 2,200 miles long, and that took me 100 days to complete from June 5th to September 12th. And the whole time I was making money while I slept and hiked, thanks to my dividend portfolio. So we're going to take a look first off at the spreadsheet here and look at kind of what the portfolio was like when I left for the trip, and then we'll update the portfolio spreadsheet and look at how much I received in dividends. And I actually did log on to my Fidelity app a few times and make a few different purchases, but I was pretty inactive on the whole during the hiking. So this is my dividend portfolio spreadsheet, and when I left, it was valued at around $11,600 with annual dividend income of $215.85. And during the time I was away, I did have 2 dividend increases, which is pretty exciting. So the first one was from Caterpillar here, from $5.20 to $5.64 annually, which is about an 8.5% raise. So super solid raise there. And then we also had a raise from Microsoft from $3 to $3.32 annually, which was just under 11% raise, which is even better, and something I would expect and hope to continue something in that range from Microsoft in the future. So now that we have that updated, we can go into Fidelity, and I have the transactions filtered out from June 5th to September 12th. So we're just going to download all of those transactions here as a CSV file, and then we will go into the Google Sheet and import that CSV file. And I have some scripts that can run, and those will parse all the data in these files from Fidelity, and it'll just tell us exactly how much we made over that time period, and it'll insert all of the transaction data into the appropriate places in the spreadsheet. So the script has finished running, but unfortunately, Google Scripts have a maximum execution time of 6 minutes. So not all the transactions were able to be parsed in that time. So I'll have to run the script one more time in order to finish parsing those transactions. But I think these were most of the transactions, and in that time I received $96.61 in dividends, but we'll definitely have to run the script again to finish parsing that and then get the total number in a few more minutes. So just hit OK here, and then if I go back to the transactions here, I can just run it again, and it should finish up going through the remainder of those transactions. So this time it finished up pretty quickly, and you can see all we received in dividends in that in those few transactions was $3.48. But we're going to look at all the transactions we made in terms of deposits and buys in the portfolio and dividends received as well. So in the transactions tab here, the one thing that is not really perfected in my scripts is that if you have to run it multiple times, then it doesn't get them all completely in order. But for the most part, this is in order. It always puts the cash deposits at the bottom. So every month I deposit $250 into the portfolio on the 5th of the month. So that was June, July, August, and September 5th. So a total of $1,000 deposited there over the summer. And then I did make some purchases a few different times while I was maybe in towns along the way. I honestly don't remember when I made these or where I was at, but looks like we bought a share of Johnson & Johnson on June 17th, and that was at an average cost of $145. And then on the 21st, I spent a fair amount of money, or purchased a fair amount of different companies. So those are all the June 21st transactions. I Bought about $50 of Aflac, about $50 there of AT&T, and then $50 of Carrier Global, $50 of Cisco, $50 of Coca-Cola, $60 here of Lockheed Martin, 3 shares, which is about $83 of Pfizer, and then $50 of Travelers. So lots of purchases there on the 21st, and then the 27th of June, $55, 2 shares of Pfizer, and then another share of Pfizer on July 15th for $29. So those are all the purchases I made over the summer, which totals up, we can get the total here, to $671.67. So about 2/3 of the money we deposited over the summer on the Appalachian Trail hike, I actually invested in the market. So I do have a fair bit of cash piling up, as we'll see, and definitely looking to deploy that a little bit more aggressively this fall, I think, just so I don't have quite as much cash sitting around. But we'll go ahead and look at dividend payments now. And these are the ones that are a little bit out of line. The first few are down here at the bottom. So Southern Company and Amcor, $2.50 from the Southern Company, 84 cents from Amcor at the beginning of June there. And then going back here to June 12th, $1.96 from Microsoft, or 3M, sorry, $1.07 from Microsoft, $1.91 from Pfizer, and then $1.57 from Lockheed Martin, and 66 cents from Travelers. And then in June, our interest on our cash was $11.11. And moving into July here, $1.04 from Coca-Cola, $8.54 from HP, 61 cents from Leggett & Platt. That one is definitely a company I'm a little bit disappointed in. They've been struggling a lot recently, I know that, over the past year or two, and they cut the dividend big time. And honestly, I'm not sure what the future holds for them or them in my portfolio. I have to do some more research since I didn't really keep up with them at all over the summer. So going to do some research over the next few weeks and make a decision, I guess, on what I'm going to do with them. The stock price has tanked a bunch as well, so we'll see what happens there. $1.92 from Cisco, and $3.15 from JP Morgan rounds out July, and then $10.50, $10.62 in terms of interest on our cash. Moving on to August, $3.05 from AT&T, 58 cents from Carrier Global, $3.21 from Air Products and Chemicals, $5.17 from Texas Instruments, $4.19 from AbbVie, 62 cents from Apple, $1.90 from Procter & Gamble, $1.68 from Caterpillar, and $11.72 of interest on our cash in August. And finally, the first half or so of September, $1.49 from Aflac, $4.43 from Pfizer, $2.64 from Southern Company, $8.74 from Johnson & Johnson, $1.07 from Microsoft, and finally $1.96 from 3M. So if we go and add all of those up, we'll have to be careful because I started on the 5th, so I don't want to include dividends in June from before the 5th, but our total in 100 days of hiking the Appalachian Trail is $100.09. So that's pretty exciting. A full $1 a day in dividends, which for most people, they probably don't think of that as a lot, but for me, that's definitely a lot more than I received, in 100 days last year or the year before or the year before. So definitely seeing a lot of growth, I think, in terms of dividends, which I'm happy about. And that $1 a day milestone is pretty cool, actually. We can look at months, and obviously dividends are trending up over time. I turned the labels off for these months just because it gets really crowded on that graph here, but we can see in June a total of $30.47 in dividends, July $25.88 in dividends, and August $32.12 in dividends, and September so far we've received $20.33 in dividends, but still have about half the month to go. So definitely seeing some growth there by the quarter. Q2, which we wrapped up at the end of June, total of $91.57, and so far in Q3, which is getting close to being over, which will be over at the end of September, $78.33. So steadily moving upwards. I think at least on this graph, I don't think we've had a single quarter that has been lower than the quarter before it. So hopefully we'll keep that trend up. And so far this year, we've received $249.37 in dividends, which is already more than we received in 2023. So lots of growth there for sure. If we take a look at the portfolio in whole, right now the portfolio is valued at $12,792, and annual dividend income is $241.49. So that's an increase of about $26, I think, because I think it was $215 before we made these updates. And dividend yield right now is about 2.5%. The one thing that is a little bit disappointing is my dividend CAGR has dropped substantially because of a few dividend cuts, Leggett and Platt for sure, and then 3M cut their dividend as well. And they had like a sort of spin-off, and then they cut their dividend after that, after the spin-off. But the good thing about that dividend cut is that the stock price has gone up a fair bit because investors basically agree that cutting the dividend was the right move and it will be good for 3M long term. So I'm not too worried about that one, but Leggett and Platt is definitely a company I'm a little disappointed in, and we'll have to do some more research on to figure out what I'm going to do with it long term. And like I mentioned, cash is building up in the portfolio right now. I'm sitting on just over $3,000 of cash on a portfolio that's less than $13,000. So that is about almost 24%, almost 25% there at 24.2 right now. And aside from that, the only other sector bigger than that in the portfolio is tech at 25.6. And the one thing here that's a little bit deceiving about my annual dividend income number of 241 is that doesn't include cash at all. And so my daily dividend income is only projected at about 66 cents, even though, like we saw, I earned just about $1 a day while I was on the AT through hike. But this $155 calculation is approximately what this $3,000 of cash will earn in interest, because I think right now the Fidelity money market yields almost 5%. So about $150 I could expect to receive in interest on my cash that's in my Fidelity account. So that would bump my annual income up to around $396, which would be over that $1 per day threshold. So obviously just some little technicalities there. It's not really a dividend, but some other money that my portfolio is generating that seems somewhat substantial to me. So obviously $100 really isn't that much in the grand scheme of things and in terms of my expenses, but it is certainly more than I've been making in the past, and it's honestly cool that I reached that $1 a day threshold. If you are interested in seeing how much I spent on my Appalachian Trail through hike, I did make a video on my other channel going over the costs. And let me tell you, $100 definitely did not cover that through hike. It cost a fair bit of money, so definitely check that out if you're interested. And let me know what you think I can do to improve the portfolio. Like I said, I'm going to have to do some research on Leggett and Platt and figure out where I stand there and what the best course of action is. I think I'm down like 50% on my position or something, so we'll have to evaluate that one. That is a unfortunate event, I guess, but that's part of investing, is making mistakes. You know, you're going to make mistakes, and I've certainly made plenty of them, and I'm certainly trying to learn from them and improve and do my best to make my portfolio as good as it can be. So let me know your thoughts and how much you have earned in dividends this summer, and I appreciate you guys sticking around to the end of the video. I'll see you all in the next one.